Hello everyone, I'm Kaitlyn reporting to you from Eastern Weekly. And today we're going to talk about some big changes here on campus, specifically that Eastern is now a tobacco-free environment. We got a chance to talk to some of your fellow students and see how they feel about this big change. So how do you feel about the new tobacco-free policy on campus?
I've smoked cigarettes before. It's a personal choice though, and I do appreciate that the university is trying to make sure that the people who choose to, not have that as their vice don't have to deal with it.
I definitely appreciate the tobacco-free policy. I'm an athlete myself, so walking around and not having any issues with smokers or, being able to breathe right after practice sounds great.
I think it's ridiculous, useless, unenforceable, and much like prohibition, it's not going to work.
So do you feel it will actually promote a healthier and safer environment for those who don't smoke?
It definitely do that, and hopefully it'll give some people who wanted to quit smoking a better incentive to quit since they can't smoke on campus.
And then people will give everybody, give smokers dirty looks and try to make us feel guilty about something that's legal. But there are a lot of questions that weren't addressed when this was going through student council, student government, and won't be addressed.
And it's a matter of where they go, how they do it.
Right.
The way I see it, they're not blowing it in people's faces. They're just sitting there enjoying a cigarette. If that's what they want to do, let them do it.
Putting this policy into effect infringes upon some of the smokers' rights?
I don't know that it's what I think. It's pretty obvious that it does. And it's not necessarily, my right to do what I want to do in that way. It becomes, if pushed, it's a First Amendment issue. It's okay, you can argue it's speech, which would just be silly. It's not.
Right.
But expression of faith, absolutely.
Honestly, I feel pretty good about it because personally, I find it a little bit annoying.
What do you think that you would do if you seen people smoking on campus still?
I would probably report it.
Yeah.
Because if it's enforced, then it's a law. So.
Have you seen people smoking on campus?
Once or twice, yeah. I reported it, yeah.
Frankly, I kind of think it's stupid. Smokers are creative people. They figure out ways around smoking or non-smoking rules. It's their vice or their habit, however you want to consider it. They'll find a way to smoke, even if they just have to go right across the street where they're not on campus property to have a cigarette and then come back to class.
There should have been other areas that were designated smoking areas that were away from where other people had to walk in the first place. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
First and foremost for me and a few other people are the religious implications. People think, you're smoking because it's a drug. No, actually, there are, just by appearances, I'm Native. And even Natives who don't smoke. For a lot of us, there is this, you have it on you anyway. Well, how can you have a tobacco, how am I supposed to not break a rule by carrying it with me?
Right.
And stay true to my beliefs? It's not possible. So, breaking it.
You were a part of the decision making for the tobacco-free policy?
Yes, I was a senator in the student government, and I sat on the board for deciding whether or not this should be something that we put into place.
So how did they come about deciding to ban it completely rather than to put smoking-free areas or designated smoking areas on campus?
There was a lot of aspects that went into that, including the fact that we had the signs, don't smoke this close to doors. People just didn't listen to that alone. So it was hard for us to say, okay, well, let's give them another space to do it because they wouldn't walk there anyway. Even if they could, they wouldn't. And there just wasn't enough funding to be able to build, we wanted to build different places that were covered for when it's raining and just different areas for people to be able to go and smoke, but we didn't have the funding to do that. Okay. So our only other option was to just ban it completely.
So it was a complete ban rather than a discussion, any kind of discussion about how to do it responsibly. And there are a lot of ways to do it responsibly that aren't in any way considered at all. I don't mind being part of what a colleague calls the circus show. Like, you know, have this place and everybody can walk by and go, ew, look, the smokers. I'm good with that. Put us there, that's fine, but there's no place for that at all. It's just this broad ban, and there wasn't really a lot of discussion about it. I never heard any of the discussion about it. You know, the student government passed it and they send it to the regents, who are never here. I mean, they're here once a month because they have to be, usually. And end result is this ban, which, you know, I mean, this is kind of hyperbolic, but it didn't really work with prohibition either. And,
right.
You know, so people are still going to do it.
What is the policy on if you find anyone violating the tobacco-free policy now?
Right now,
It's not as strict right now,
it's
but
not
it
as
will
strict
be
right
after
now.
a year of it in effect?
Yeah, after a year, they'll start getting official like warnings and written up, and there'll be actual disciplinary actions for doing this. But for the first year, it's just more of like, hey, just so you know, you're not allowed to do this. And we're just kind of like testing the waters for the first year.
All right, well, there you have it. That's how some of your fellow students feel about this big change on campus. And this has been Kaitlyn LeBez reporting for Eastern Weekly. We'll take it back to the studio.